Hello, beautiful souls, and welcome to the Live Fully Now podcast with me, your host, Shannon Ryan. This is a place where we discover how to go from merely surviving to really thriving. And I'm so excited to have our special guest with me today, Amy Pankenier. So, welcome, Amy.
Thank you. Thank you. It's so good to see you again.
I know, so good. I feel like we have so much to catch up on. So, a few months ago, Amy and I met at a Shabbat dinner that was co hosted by a mutual friend and really bonded over multiple things. But I would say, really stepping into our truth, stepping into our power, listening to the signs of the universe,
Mm.
listening to synchronicities, and going through these obstacles and these big major life shifts and really answering the call of our soul. So I'd love for you to share a little bit more about that and what resonated with you as far as when we met and how we connected.
Mm. Well, I know that I felt kind of a deep sense of calm after hearing you talk about your journey because I felt like our paths have been very similar and that feeling like that I've stepped off into this void and I don't know what's next. And hearing your story about leaving nursing and sort of shifting into something that's more in alignment with who you are just was affirming for me.
Mm.
And I'm in that place now. I'm not sure if you know that I'm in the void again. Like, I don't know what I'm doing next. I know I was a podcast producer when we first met, but
Yeah.
it's not that I'm not that anymore. I just don't have a job anymore.
Yeah. So rewind a little bit. I would love it if you could tell the listeners a little bit about, where you were at when we met, which was in this space, I believe, of you were sitting with the plant medicines and you had this call that told you, to follow and you weren't sure about it and you maybe didn't listen to it. And then,
Mhm.
certain things happened as catalysts really to push you into this uncomfortable zone, into this unknown, to where you had no choice but to move and to listen, which is very
Yes.
similar to me.
Right? It's like you're just sort of feeling like the universe is, like, shoving you out the door,
Mhm.
like, which is basically what I was. I was shoved out the door.
Yeah.
And so I've been in this space of, "Okay, so if it's not that, it must be better than that. What's coming my way must be better than what I had,
Right.
because that's the only thing that makes sense. Because I
Mhm.
know that the universe is conspiring for my greatness. I know
Mhm.
this. That's been shown over and over again. So now, just in this week, I'm having these opportunities being presented to me. And I'm at this inflection point where I have to sort of make choices and decide what direction I'm heading in. And it's really interesting because the spectrum of what is being presented to me is very broad.
Mm.
And so I'm trying to just and I would love some insight from you if you have any, or if anything's coming to you as I'm saying this. But I have this very conventional job possibility that would pay quite a bit of money and give me safety and security. I have this sort of midway option that would provide me with a steady paycheck and is possibly going to give me more time that's my own, but I still would not be fully doing things that are in alignment with who
Mhm.
I am and where I'm going. Oh, I just said that out loud.
Yeah, sometimes all you need is just somebody to be your mirror and reflect back to you and listen to yourself. It's pretty amazing what can come out when that happens.
Crap.
Yeah.
Well, so yeah, and so then I have these 2 other things that have come up that feel like they're more in alignment with where I'm going, but one feels like it's very edgy.
And what do you mean by edgy?
Hmm. Well, I mean, stepping further into the non-conventional. I come from very conventional world,
Mhm. Yeah.
and so this one would be stepping further into a world where people who I know that don't exist in this place would have judgment.
Yeah, I mean, I can definitely resonate with that. I mean, as we've spoke about before, a lot of my choices on the path that I was on before really were to please others, worrying about what other people thought. I was so concerned about what other people thought, worried about judgment, worried about fitting into this box of society and cultural norms and what my family wanted and all of that. And that's ultimately like doing our soul and our highest self a disservice. So, really being in this space of surrender, being in this space of flow and allowing and getting quiet enough to listen to our soul's whispers, our heart's whispers, and what our heart's desires are. And I know that oftentimes we seek out others for this advice, but really the only one that knows the answer is you. And so my advice would just be to sit with yourself and feel into what fears are coming up, what judgments, what insecurities, what limitations, and really decide, are those true? Like, is this fear true? Or is this trying to keep me safe and play small? And really listening to your own inner guidance, your own inner compass, your own truth, your own heart, your own wisdom, because that holds all the wisdom and keys and messages that you need.
Yes. Yes to all of that. And
Mhm.
it's funny how you know it and then you also just forget.
Mhm.
Sometimes I forget the things that I know. I mean, we're on a spiral, so I get to be gentle with myself when I realize that I'm forgetting things that I've already learned. And I think that part of it too is knowing that I'm just taking a step in a direction. It doesn't necessarily mean that I'm locking myself
Mhm.
into a path. I'm
Yep.
just going to head in the direction that feels most in alignment with where I'm heading,
Yeah.
right?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that's a huge a huge thing. Something that I struggle with as well is like it doesn't have to be so final. In fact, this is Earth School. We're here to learn, we're here to grow. And sometimes we're going to take the wrong direction. Sometimes we're going to take the wrong path, but it's never really wrong because in my eyes because it's always a lesson. It's always getting us closer and it brings us a deepening and understanding that gets us closer to our dharma, our purpose, our passion of living in that full truth, in that full alignment. So, I don't really think that there's a wrong turn or a wrong direction you can go. But I would still definitely follow the path that feels most in alignment to who you are wanting to become and not feeling that energy of constriction or control that feels like, "Oh, this is so final, and if this isn't right, then I'm screwed."
Yeah. Well, I mean, it is definitely true that I was thinking about so we've both just been traveling,
Mm,
and the trip that I went on and I wanna hear about your Bali trip because
mhm,
it sounds like it was all the things. My trip was all the things, and I had expectations around what I wanted it to be, and it wasn't that. It
mhm.
was the trip that I needed, not the trip that I wanted.
There you go.
So I went to visit my daughter who is going to school in Europe, and we
Mhm.
went to go see the tulip field outside of Amsterdam, and then we went to Italy.
Gee.
And the Italy part was really interesting for me because I had always dreamed of going there. It was one of those places that I had sort of kept as like a pretty dress in the back of my
Mhm,
closet, waiting for the right moment to wear it. And I decided I just needed to do it, you
mhm.
know? And so I went, and I like to travel by myself.
Yes.
Um, Magic tends to unfold for me when I travel by myself, and this trip, there was some of that, like, a lot of things happened for me where, like, divine timing was there the whole time, we would be walking through a town and we'd know we need to take a train, and then we just casually stop for gelato, and then we'd walk up to the train station and we'd buy the ticket, and then the train would pull up and we'd step right on it. Like that kind of stuff happened the whole time, which I delight in.
I love
Um
that.
yeah, but I was realizing that traveling out in the world without community,
Mm,
without a conscious person at my side
Mm.
who is being able to share the sort of mm, it's a strange world
The
out
magic.
there. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You wanna
Yeah.
share the delighting in the synchronicities, in the magic. Yeah,
Yeah.
I totally get that, which makes it complicated when you're traveling alone.
Yeah.
But often I've found that's also why I love to travel alone because the amount of magic and synchronicities that have unfolded when I'm by myself in this space of the unknown, of divine timing, of no plan, of no set destination, of really just following the breadcrumbs of my joy, of excitement, and things
Yes.
just unfold, unfold, unfold. And it's like this, this snowball that just keeps getting more and more momentum and more magic. And the places that I've gone and the people that I've met and the experiences that I've had would never have happened if I had someone with me, and I just love that because it's like the universe's way of leading me to the lessons and the places and the interactions and the things that I need to experience to grow from, and the wonder and awe that I need to see from here or there, and the experiences from whatever the land has to offer. I love all of the magic and synchronicities, and the way that travel has enriched my life has been absolutely astonishing. Have you been traveling most of your life, or is this somewhat of a new thing that you've been exploring, or what is it about travel that really resonates or lights you up?
So, I mean, a couple things. One, not only have I traveled my whole life, but I've also been m- super nomadic. Basically, I moved every 2 years my whole life up until I moved to Colorado in 2007. But before that, I had moved every 2 years. And it was kind of this pattern where just when I was getting to know the place was to live in and I had started to build community, then I would leave.
Mhm.
So it was me just feeling like, what's next? What's next? What's next? And what I'm understanding too is that I don't know what living in community looks like.
Yeah.
So that's part of my path right now is leaning into understanding what community looks like and how I can have that because I would like it.
Mm. Yeah, I feel like I grew up in a similar way. My mom, a flight attendant, and traveling back and forth between my mom in Colorado and my dad in California, and always felt like I was just running and running and seeking the next best thing. And again, I wasn't conscious either, but I know now that I've done some work on peeling back that onion is that I was running away from the emptiness I felt of sitting alone, of needing to feel busy, of needing to see the next place, of do the next crazy adventure, all these things that I was seeking out to fill that void in me of the comfort zone because it didn't feel enough, which in turn meant I didn't feel enough about myself and I didn't love myself. I don't know if that resonates with you at all.
Some of it does. For me, I have always been a lone wolf.
Mhm.
And so I feel like part of my moving and not having roots is because it feels safe. It feels comfortable. Then I'm not going to ask people to help me because I don't know people well enough. But, if you're always in this space of being new and not establishing, then people can't let you down because you're not expecting anything from them
Yep.
and you just do it all yourself. And that's been my way for sure.
Yeah, and I think we talked about this a little bit at Shabbat when we first met, but just this wounding of the divine feminine and of all these women in the workforce trying to be seen as equal and really losing our connection with our femininity and being in this space of this masculine of trying so hard to get somewhere, of trying to prove ourselves and not wanting to ask for help and not wanting to seem weak. And really, I feel so deeply that that is something so necessary right now to healing in the collective is this sisterhood wound and this divine feminine wound where we can really step into our vulnerability, step into our softness, and be both fierce and soft, and be able to ask for help, and all of those things that the balanced divine feminine can be when we embody both the masculine and the feminine parts of ourselves.
Amen to that, yes. Yep. Yeah. Well, I think what I've seen so far is that when I'm conscious of the fact that I'm at this inflection point where I can either choose to do what I've always done, or I can choose to do it differently and ask for help or to reach out, it's almost like I end up in a different dimension or a different level or something. It's like when I make that decision to do it differently, it shoots me off in a direction that feels different.
In
Does that
which
make
way
any sense?
does it feel expansive or contracted?
Yeah, it
Yeah.
feels expansive, and then all of a sudden, I'm seeing more support for having made that choice, for having, like, leaned into either that fear or understanding that this is the way I've always done it, so I'm gonna do it this way, and as soon as
Mhm.
I start leaning into that, it's like I see support show up
Yep.
in so many different ways.
Definitely, I can resonate with that 100%. I feel like for so long it was just me being in the comfort zone, and the second I decided and made the choice to step outside of it and to really surrender my control and let go and interfere and allow, and allow myself not to necessarily have the plan or know what it looks like, and to just trust that the universe has a higher plan for me, and that's probably even more beautiful and more grand than I could ever imagine. And all the things that I have wanted and been seeking, where before I was trying from a masculine space of forcing and resisting, and of course it wasn't happening. But once I entered it into this unknown space with this more softness of not knowing and trusting and listening to that call and that intuition, things have manifested with effortless ease, and people have shown up on my doorstep to help me. Opportunities have arisen. And yeah, I think that that's so beautiful that you've experienced that as well, just being able to allow and receive and to be.
Yeah, I know, it's so hard. Surrender is not easy.
Yeah. It's really practice for me every single day. I feel like the human condition is literally just like in amnesia, and every day we have the choice to choose to remember and
Mhm.
to make these conscious choices and be in this state of awareness where we can make more aligned decisions. And yeah, my biggest lesson and my biggest practice is constantly surrendering every day, releasing control. And it's hard. It's really hard being a human.
Well, and to your original question about why I travel, one of the things that I realized that I became aware of that's always been true, but I'm recognizing it for the gift that it is that when I put myself into travel mode, I'm always choosing way outside the comfort zone. Like I don't like traveling to a place that looks and feels like America. I don't go to resorts. I always am putting myself into the least touristy, most local scenario I can possibly find. And I realized on this trip that it forces you to be present
Mhm.
all the time.
Yes.
You have to be present, so it's like this amazing practice of being present, and it's also exhausting,
Mhm.
but it's also energizing at the same time,
Yeah.
and being present all day, every day, because I'm by myself in Italy, that was something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love that about traveling as well. And it was interesting to hear you kind of speak to that because I grew up this way, and I'm so blessed that I grew up this way because it was the best form of earth school that I could have ever been gifted. And I know my soul chose this eons ago to have a mom that's a flight attendant, but
Huh.
we grew up this way where we would pack a bag thinking we were going to Alaska, and then we'd go to Hawaii or something. So we'd fly standby, and we would have to learn how to be super resilient, how to not have a plan. Like, we wouldn't have a hotel booked. we wouldn't know how to speak the language. We'd be jet lagged and get somewhere at 4 in the morning and have to figure out public transportation and how to speak a language and how to figure out a hotel and with a family of 5, and I was the oldest sibling, so I had to do a lot of it. And it was super difficult, but it made me so strong and so wise and so open, and to be able to see the world through the lens and the perspective of different people, different cultures, different places, learning, being able to adapt, to change, to grow, and yeah, like you said, being present. And I didn't really put the pieces together until you just kind of laid that out for me. So thank you for that.
Yeah, you're welcome. I just figured that one out myself, so happy to
Yeah.
happy to share with whoever is a traveler who maybe doesn't understand all of the reasons why they love travel.
Mhm.
I think it builds your presence muscle. It
Mhm.
makes you if you're choosing that type of travel, which,
Yeah.
a lot of us are.
And that's the kind of travel that I've always chosen as well. I want to fully experience the culture. I want to take away the privilege. I want to be seen as equal with the other people. Like, I want to stay in the village and live how they live and talk about what they talk about, learn the language, eat the food, fully immerse in the culture and live how the people in that part of the earth do. The part I didn't realize was the comfort zone part. And it's so true because, yeah, it's fully all the time being outside of your comfort zone and living in this void where you don't know what's going to happen and where you're in this state of surrender and trust and you just go with the flow and let it unfold however it's supposed to.
Yeah. Well, I mean, and it always right, it always makes you realize what you love about your home, like, when you come back to your own place, the things that you need and love and want, and then also thinking about this in particular, the times that I can still go into autopilot,
Mhm.
even though I am really rehearsed at being present
Yeah.
and being mindful, just driving to the grocery store
Yeah.
is something where you can just not be present. And that's when you're traveling, that's not a thing. Like, you
No.
can't there's no autopilot when you're traveling to a place that you don't know, that's unfamiliar. Yeah. Mm. I wonder if you must I would think that you would be really good at planning travel. Do you have that dialed in?
I mean, I don't plan, like I said, it's fully
Yeah.
I plan my one rule because I'm a woman is I plan one night at a hostel, when I'm going somewhere. I still stay at hostels because I love meeting people there and seeing whoever I meet and wherever the best places are to go. And
Mhm.
so I often just book one night at a hostel, tell one person where I'm going, and then from there, I don't have a plan, and I just let the universe take me wherever I'm supposed to go, do whatever I'm supposed to do, and I have had so many crazy magic experiences. My favorite one that comes to mind is when I was in India, and I ended up meditating underneath the Bodhi tree where Buddha reached enlightenment with monks for a week in silent vipassana meditation based on the snowball of magic and synchronicities that I followed. Just saying yes to magic, saying yes to synchronicities, saying yes to alignment, and being in that void of the unknown. It's just so amazing what can happen when you don't have the energy of control and planning and resistance and like yeah, I feel like that's what planning does. It closes you off to all the opportunities that could potentially manifest in your realm.
Yep. I so agree.
Mhm.
That story is incredible, and one of the first times that it really landed for me that this is what I needed to do in order when I wanted to travel was I was in Hawaii, and I stayed at a surf hostel,
Mm.
which was amazing, and I was at the beach at sunrise, and there's this guy who happens to, like, walk up next to me, and we're both drinking coffee, and we're just talking a little bit, and I end up saying to him but I really enjoyed the energy of this particular island, more so maybe than some of the other ones for me, and he was like, "Well, since you said that, you probably would wanna know about this." And
Mm.
he ends up telling me about this secret meditation garden that is on the hillside and overlooks the ocean, and so it's stuff like that's
Oh
the
boy.
best.
Yeah,
That's the
and
best.
I've found that if I have somebody else traveling with me, it's again being in my comfort zone because I have somebody to talk to, right? and that blocks out a lot of potential energy of magic and miracles and synchronicities to unfold. Versus when I'm by myself, I'm forced to go talk to strangers and go do stuff that I might not do if somebody's with me.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. Yep. Yeah. Well, so Bali, do you have something that you're taking away from Bali that I would like to know about?
Well, I was there for a mermaid retreat, which
Yeah.
sounds very in left field, I know, but it was so amazing, and it was me entering into this space without any expectations, and the way that I arrived at saying yes to this decision was, again, following the miracles and the magic and the synchronicity. I mean, you can't make this stuff up, that this just appeared in my lap, and I was like, "What? A mermaid retreat in Bali? Of course, yes." And I've been called to Bali in my soul for probably about 10 years. Like, even when I say the word Bali, every cell in my body kind of lights up and buzzes. I knew something magic was going to happen there, but I didn't know what that was. And so when this opportunity came into my field, I was like, well, this is the magic I'm going to experience there. The level of embodiment and empowerment that I felt putting on this tail was very unexpected. It was like I was stepping into this divine feminine archetypal wisdom and knowing and power, and it was amazing. Just the beauty, and also the thing that I was playing with was allowing myself to be in the beauty, in the divine feminine, because I went through a phase in my life where I lived in Arizona and didn't wear any makeup and kind of deconstructed all this Western stuff, which for the first time I felt truly beautiful with no
Oh,
makeup.
yeah.
But this was like a remembering the beauty way, and being able to allow myself to dress up and wear crowns and be a mermaid and be pretty and beautiful and delicate and feminine and powerful and fierce and soft and all the things, and learning about environmental sustainability and fighting for the ocean and the animals, and using the mermaid tail, using this power and authority that you have when you put this on to fight for the earth, picking up trash and teaching children, like, that listen to you automatically with this tail on, and swimming in the ocean and connecting with the animals and the earth, and it was just so, so beautiful, and definitely something that I'm gonna take forward from here. I have my
Mm.
own tail now, and I'm gonna possibly be co-leading a mermaid retreat in Texas this summer.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
I love that so much. I wonder, like, so forgive my question because to me, it feel like so how does it not feel like you're playing like you're or is it you're just playing dress up? You're just remembering what it's like to play dress up? Like, what is it?
Yeah, I mean, as far as putting the mermaid tail on, is that what you mean?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, and, like so in my mind, it's like a costume, like you're putting on a
yeah.
costume, and so on one hand, I can see how that's really cute and fun, but you're talking in a level that I don't quite like, help me understand, like, how it goes from being, like, something that's cute and fun to something that sounds like it's really impacted you.
Yeah, I mean, I felt a deep remembrance, I fully believe in all of the mythical, the magical realms, and I fully identify as being a mermaid in a past life, or being a fairy, or all these mythical beings and archetypes. I've never swam in a mermaid tail, and I put it on for the first time and just instantly knew how to do it, and like
Huh.
beautifully just swimming like a mermaid. I know everyone was like, "This is your first time?" And I'm like, "Yeah." But it just felt so natural to swim with this tail on, and I don't know, it just felt very empowering and liberating and beautiful and harmonious. I just felt the archetypal wisdom of the divine feminine, powerful, beautiful. Yeah, and for somebody
Yeah.
who's dealt with issues with speaking my truth, with my throat chakra, with my self-worth, self-confidence, all these things, it was this moment where I didn't have any of that. It was just like, "Oh my gosh, I'm awesome. I'm powerful. I'm beautiful. I'm amazing. Yes, 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 yes." Yeah.
That is yeah, okay, so I get it. So I just was at this dance party where this guy who invents these amazing things had a beta test of a thing that he invented where you're dancing in front of this projector. It reads your energy, it
Mm.
reads your motion, and
Wow.
then it projects it on a screen with laser beams and sparkles flying out of your hands. It's so cool and it's so beautiful and it's reacting to your energy and the movement of your body.
Wow.
And I just got it.
Mm.
Like, it was just like I was in such a flow state immediately with it. And that's what makes me think of because the mermaid tale, it sounds like that was that for you. I think people could look at it and be like, "Oh, it's like basically like VR, but not quite." And but for me, it was like, I don't know.
I mean, any like you said, it was flow state, and I, feel that it was also it was a mermaid retreat and a sacred dance temple keeper initiation type of thing as well. So, yeah, both of the aspects of embodying the I mean, the word mermaid means servant of the sea. So, and then we learned about, the lost city of Atlantis and all of the Lemurian wisdoms and the
Wow.
starseed and all of that, which I definitely have always resonated with. And so, yeah, I felt very in flow state, not only with my dance, but with putting this tail on and moving in this harmonious way, almost like a meditative way where super present, super connected to the elemental wisdom of the ocean, of the fire, the air, the ether, the water. All of it was so powerful. Also, the magic and the energy of Bali. It was just a very impactful returning and remembrance of my divinity, of my truth, of my power, of my sacredness, all of that. It was really amazing. And the sisterhood, which is something that I'm really passionate about going forward, is healing the sisterhood wound and being able to celebrate each other as women and release this fear of needing to compare ourselves or all of that. We have been so conditioned and taught we need to be prettier and skinnier and la 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 la. No, it's really a toxic energy, and it's something that I'm very inspired to go forward with in the future about how to hold space for other women and to rise together.
Yeah. Yeah.
Mhm.
Yes, absolutely.
Which reminds me, I would love to hear a little bit more about this priestesses group that you have started and a little bit about how that's showing up for you and how that serves as a community space. Remember you saying that you've been called to step up as a leader, and I am so honored to be included in that group now that I'm back in Colorado. But I would love to hear a little bit more about what you're doing with that, where you're moving and shaking right now.
Oh my god, that is such a good question, and it's, like, kind of hurting my heart a little bit as you're
Mm,
asking it because I still have resistance to being a leader,
mm.
so I gotta work on that, think about that, process that, but it's still there, I felt it. I felt it when you said that, I was like, "I said that." I'm like, "Yes, you did. Yup, yeah, you did." So, I gotta work on that one.
Mm,
And the priestess group, part of the downloads that I've been getting
mm,
have been around getting people together, understanding that we're more powerful in groups, that
mm,
we're more powerful when we're connected, having ceremony, having ritual, and that when we do get together, we generate energy amongst each other. We give each other more strength. We give
mhm.
each other more resolve and more commitment, and we fill each other's cups, and it doesn't feel so hard.
Yeah.
And so that's the piece. I had this moment where I just kept thinking that some group out there must be leading the charge when it comes to creating this new earth,
Yeah.
and that I keep hoping they'll find me. And then I'm like, "Well, what if we're it? Like, what
Mhm.
if you're it? What if
Yeah.
I'm it?"
Yeah. I mean, we are, right? No one's coming to save us. It's ourselves. Like, we are it. We are I feel this energy collectively, and I think we spoke to this a little bit before, but we are the leaders. There's a reason why so many people are being asked to answer the call, and it's because so much is needed for us all to come together, for us all to step into our own truth, our own embodiment, and
Yeah,
to hold hands and rise together. Because, like you said, with one of us, it's not going to work. And we are at such desperate times for our Mother Earth, and it's not going to happen if we just sit back and continue to allow fear to get in the way and allow these circumstances to take away our power.
well, so you're making me think that I wanna create a distinction right there in that thought process, because I recognize that I've been falling into it too, is that there's, on one hand, you have this energy of, "We're running out of time and we need to do stuff, like, we need to start doing stuff. Like, this is the time." And then I'm realizing that I wanna shift it to a place of empowerment
Yeah.
and a place of like, "Wait a minute, why do we wanna wait anymore?
Hmm.
Like, do we really wanna wait anymore? Aren't we all ready for this? We're ready
Yeah.
for this. We want this, right? Like, it's time. Like, we want it. It's
Yeah.
time. Let's just bring it in. Let's just do
Yeah.
it.
Yeah.
What else are we gonna do?"
Yeah.
Right? Like, what else are we gonna do? This is
Yeah.
it.
Yeah. I mean, I totally agree with that. I think that it's good to not think of it in this sense of like, oh, we're gonna all die off and whatever, because it can get super dark and super crazy. But I feel so positive about where we're going, and I
Yeah.
can just feel it. Like, I'm
Yeah.
not worried about it at all.
Yeah.
Like, I just know that it's gonna all be okay and that it's gonna
Yeah.
be fine. But at the same time, like, I still want to encourage other people to step into their truth and to step out of fear and into love and really listen to their intuition, their inner guidance, and
Yeah.
step into their leadership, their power. And I think that that's the biggest thing right now is reclamation of power for each individual one of us, but then collectively as well, so that we can make choices from our empowered self and from our essence rather than from this system of misbelief, misinformation, which really holds the main illusion, which is the illusion of separation. And that's
Yeah.
really one of the things that I want to help heal is this illusion of separation.
So I was thinking about what you were saying about women competing and thinking about my own journey to discovering my sacred purpose and looking around and thinking, oh my gosh, there are so many incredibly smart women who are doing this work. Like, where would I possibly fit in with? Like,
Mhm.
there's already like so many amazing women who have learned more and studied more and all the things. And sometimes I forget that that's actually not it.
Yeah,
That
it's
that we
not.
all have our own, each one of us has our own place. And it's not a matter of, that's like a scarcity thing. That's like a capitalism thing, right? Like, oh, there's too many of these. No, there's not actually.
Yeah.
There's not.
And when we think about it, like, even if you are offering a similar service, at the end of the day, there's only one of you. There's only one of you. There's one being that vibrates and oscillates and has this unique medicine and magic and vibration and energy and voice and sacredness like no one else in the world. Everyone else is taken, you know? You might as well be yourself. Everyone else is taken. Like, you're the only one on this whole earth, just like I'm the only one on this whole earth that can be me and vibrate in my resonance and my frequency, and some people are going to be drawn to that and want to hear this wisdom from my words or my story, and some aren't. And there's so much variability, and there's so much room for us all to exist and coexist and to co-create magic.
Yeah. Yeah. I
Yeah.
really needed to have this conversation today. Thanks.
Mhm. Well,
That's
I
amazing timing.
good. I know. I love having these type of conversations. It's so easy to get lost in our thoughts, in our heads, and in that self-sabotage or my inner critic. When I'm alone, a lot of times it gets louder and I have to do more work. And really, there's so much power in community and conscious conversation. And that's really why I, again, chose to step outside of my comfort zone and start a podcast. Because I know that I needed to challenge myself and hold myself accountable to step into my truth, into my highest self, and to clear the throat chakra blockage, and to really make myself uncomfortable and empower myself to embody this higher version of myself. And it's healing. Yeah.
Yes, I mean, that's absolutely why I did mine, and I still am somewhat kicking and screaming about it. I haven't recorded one in a little bit because I've been traveling, and so I'm feeling like I should record one, but I'm resistant to it because I haven't gotten it all figured out yet.
Yeah. I have,
I like and it feels very vulnerable for me to just start talking without knowing what I'm supposed to be saying at
yeah.
all.
Hmm. Yeah. I know. I totally resonate with that. And that's one of the biggest things that I've recognized recently that I've need to overcome, or one of my blockages has been this perfectionism. And for so long, I didn't really resonate with the idea of being a perfectionist, but I've noticed that I am definitely a perfectionist, and that has held me back and kept me playing small for so long. Every time I show up to do this podcast, there's still fear there. There was fear this morning. I was questioning myself, like, what am I doing? Who am I? This imposter syndrome coming up. Like, who am I to do this? Who am I to share my voice? I'm
Yep,
not good enough. I'm not
yep.
enough. Like, all these voices, all these insecurities, it's totally normal. But continuing to show up and do it even through that, I'm sure going to hopefully one day build that muscle strong enough so that there isn't resistance, and so it's easier to flow, and so that I'm not as critical and hard on myself with this perfectionist, like, "Oh, you need to have a specific topic, you need to have everything figured out." It's like, "No, just have a conversation, be easy, be light, be playful, and allow the fun and ease and flow, and it's all gonna be okay."
It is. It totally is. It's gonna be better than that, actually.
Yeah.
I mean, and it already is. So, what I've been working on is when I am experiencing the tougher times, right? Like the heavier times, the times that don't feel really great, especially when it has to do with interacting with other humans. I had a minute, I'm still working through some of it where I was just like, we don't need men. They're in the way. They're in the freaking way. They're not doing their job. They're not doing the work. Like, let's just ladies, let's just do it. And I realize that's not the way,
Yeah.
but I have these darker moments, and those are the times when I realize that I grow the most.
Mm. Yeah.
And so I lean into that because I love growing and learning. And so then I get to be grateful for those hard times because they push me.
Yeah, I mean, the discomfort and the dis-ease are always the biggest teachers, as uncomfortable as they are, but yeah, they're definitely there for a reason, and if we can lean into them and allow them to not be such a heavy burden, a heavy weight, but just bring more ease to them, more flow, and really reframing that. I know a lot of people think that things are happening to them, but really this is happening for us, for our highest evolvement. And they are messengers and teachers to get us closer to being on the right path.
Yeah.
Yeah. Doesn't mean they're easy.
No, it doesn't. I am someone who is genuinely positive, and I bring a ball of light energy with me wherever I go. I know this about myself. And there's like a part of me that has this question mark whether people I meet think that I never have hard times.
Mm. Yeah.
And it's like I almost feel like I have to let people know that I actually do have really hard times. I just transmute them pretty quickly
Mhm. Yeah,
or try to.
yeah. I definitely resonate with that and feel that as well. Most I'd say, like, 90% of the time, I am showing up as this beacon of light and just very because I genuinely want to, like, help change the frequency and the vibration of the people around me. And
Exactly.
me showing up in my highest vibration is gonna do that, and
Yeah.
I don't choose to sit with the emotions or the feelings for too long. I just say, "Okay, feel that," and then, like, I'm gonna go to the next thing, you know?
Yeah.
But yeah, it doesn't mean that it's not a constant daily struggle. I have to consciously change my neural pathways and my thoughts and really always be aware and questioning where these are coming from and questioning my beliefs. Is this true? Is this not true? What am I going to choose to align? Sometimes I think it's so much more difficult. Like walking the way is so much harder than these other people who aren't living in a conscious way, who are just so happy in this robotic way of life where they don't even have to question any of this. But I wouldn't change it.
No, God, no. No.
No, I
Definitely
feel
not.
that.
Definitely not. It's just I mean, and in fact, the more that I am this unmasked and fully vibrational version of myself all of the time, like not all of the time, but the more I get to expand the time that I get to be that version of me, the more fun I'm having, the more yeah, it's just better and better.
Yeah, that's a lesson that I've been reminding myself of each day is that it's okay. It gets to be easy and fun. And actually, when you are having fun, you are living in most alignment with your truth. And it doesn't have to be difficult and hard, and you don't have to be slaving away and working so hard to get somewhere. Like, it gets to be fun and easy, and you get to live the life of your dreams. Yay.
Yeah. Yes. Right? I was laughing because, well, one of my divine purposes is play.
Mhm.
Like,
Mine is
that's
too.
right, and I laugh about it because 'cause I'm like, "What an amazing job. That's such a great job." Like, how am I so lucky that that's
Yeah.
one of my jobs here is to
Yep.
play, like,
Yep. And
that's
bring joy.
amazing. Yeah,
Mm.
yeah, and then I think, well, I did pick a really in some ways, a difficult job for this world, for this reality that we live in, right? The challenge is real, but it sure is fun when you
Super.
figure out how to bring more and more play into your life.
Yep. That's where the magic and the medicine and the synchronicities come in even more. I
Yep,
love that so much.
yep.
Well, I'd love to ask you one more question before we end, which is how would you advise the listeners to live fully now and to really be in a space of thriving in their life, being the authority of their life, taking their power back?
Mm. Well, I mean, I gotta go with my theme, which is play.
Yay.
Like you have to figure out how to bring as much play into your life as possible. That's and like your job here, your number one job, all of us have one job, and that job is how do we create a world that we're in our highest vibration?
Mhm.
And I feel like play is one way to really like lock in the feeling of being in your highest vibration. And so that's the one for me.
Yay. Well, I'm so glad and blessed and lucky that I got to play a little bit with you today. Thank you so much for
Yeah.
sharing your unique medicine, your unique vibration, and just your wisdom with me and with the world.
Oh, thank you so much. I did not know how much I needed this
Mhm.
conversation, and I want to tell you how grateful I am for your wisdom. And I mean, just look how much happier I am now for having
Yay.
had this
Me
interaction with
too.
you.
Oh, it is. Yes. Thank
It
you so
works.
much. It does work. It is magic.
Magic.
Well, tell the listeners where they can connect with you, a little bit about maybe your podcast, your Instagram, where they can connect with you if they feel like they resonate or are seeking more information about you.
I love that. So my podcast is Magical Soup. And it really is. It is stories of magic and synchronicity that started off being heavily edited. And now it's mostly just me talking to you about the ways that I was just talking to you
Mhm.
in this podcast about the way that I'm processing things, what's happening to me. Sometimes they're really magical stories and it's super fun to share, and sometimes there are more reflections on lessons that I'm learning and how I'm processing them. And I don't know what I'm doing, but I'm just willing to share what my process is, and if it helps anyone, then amazing, and it definitely helps me to just be able to process out loud,
Yeah.
and so, yeah, I gotta back at it, I gotta get back at it. Thanks for that reminder too.
Awesome. Well, thank you again so much for sharing today, and I look forward to connecting with you in the future.
Yeah, same. So good seeing you.
You too. Bye.
Bye.